Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, it is KingNido here, and today we are coming to you from Olivine City, where the Olivine Carbons will be hosting the Saffron Power Links. It will be the Steel types with the disadvantage against the Fighting types, but regardless of that, let us know in the comments below who you think will win this matchup, and will we potentially see a face-off between these two Paradox Pokemon in Iron Treads and Iron Valiant. I cannot wait for this matchup. Until then though, let's send it down to the battlefield because we just want to kick this off right now.
3, 2, 1, go!
As I said, we are coming to you from Olivine City as the Saffron Power Links start out with Hawlucha and Iron Valiant immediately kicking off this match. It is Lucario and Copperaja for the Steel types, and Hawlucha kicks things off with the Fissure, and it will be a one-hit KO for the Power Links. They take Copperaja out immediately in this matchup. A fantastic start for the Fighting types as the Hydro Pump from Iron Valiant onto Lucario gets a fantastic hit on its fellow Fighting type, who responds with the tea time here. Everyone is going to start digging into their berries. They will all eat their Leopard Berries on the first turn of this matchup. This is not when you want to be eating that Leopard Berry to restore the PP to your moves. But this is not the start that the Olivine Carbons want. They have the most resistances in this league, but they have already had a Pokemon eliminated thanks to a one-hit KO move. And as Tinkaton comes out for the Olivine Carbons, a Magical Leaf, Hawlucha immediately welcomes it to the field with that not very effective move, and Iron Valiant follows it up with the Cosmic Power. It is going to give a boost to its defense and special defense here. It is more of a offensive Pokemon. Huge attack and special attack stats as the Leech Life, not very effective there onto Hawlucha from Tinkaton, trying to get back a little bit of health that it did just lose as it came onto the field. And now Lucario going for the Horn Leech, also trying to restore a bit of health, going for Iron Valiant, gets some back just to restore it there. Iron Valiant having its energy drained as Hawlucha with the Defend Order is going to give a boost to its defense stats here. It only has a base defense of 75, so that could be very beneficial, as well as the 63 special defense. Superpower now coming from Iron Valiant onto Lucario. Super effective hit, and Iron Valiant has eliminated Lucario from this matchup. It does lower its physical stats there in the process, but I am sure it is happy with that. As a Gigaton Hammer from Tinkaton onto Hawlucha, good damage there. As we have Chestnut now coming out for the Olivine Carbons as the Terrestrial Pokemon for the Carbons. It will immediately go from a Grass Fighting type into a Steel type here, as do all the Terra Pokemon that have been drafted to their respective sides. There it is, taking its Terra form, is in the Steel type, but Hawlucha now going for its first move, and immediately with the smackdown onto Tinkaton. You can't see Tinkaton on the field right now, but it is there getting hit with the critical hit. Iron Valiant with the Vacuum Wave also going for Tinkaton, able to get a little bit more damage done to the little pink creature there, who responds with the Screech. This is going to lower the special defense, the defense of Iron Valiant a great deal, as the Weather Ball now from Chestnut onto the Paradox Pokemon. Little bit of damage as Hawlucha setting up some spikes on the opposing side. Any Pokemon now that lands on the field as it enters battle for the Olivine Carbons will take some damage from those spikes. As a Giga Drain from Iron Valiant, not very effective there onto Tinkaton, does get a little bit of health back. Iron Valiant already having a strong showing in this matchup. Tinkaton responds with the Kowtow Cleave onto Hawlucha, which is not very effective, trying to capitalize on having its teammates eliminated, but the Hyper Beam will finish Hawlucha off by Chestnut here. Hawlucha taken out of this matchup, and in its place comes Gallade, who has a striking resemblance to Iron Valiant here, as another not very effective hit onto Tinkaton from Iron Valiant. A lock-on now from Tinkaton. Surely it's going to go for a one-hit KO move in the next turn to capitalize on that lock-on. As the Flatter now from Gallade onto Tinkaton. It is going to boost its special attack, but it will leave it confused, trying to make sure it doesn't hit it in the following turn. I'm sure it would rather have it hit itself. Chestnut having to recharge after that very impressive Hyper Beam allows the Darkest Lariat to come from Iron Valiant onto Chestnut. Gets an okay hit there as Tinkaton is confused, needs to shake it off. It is successful, and it's gonna go for the Psychic Fangs here, capitalizing on that part Fighting type that Gallade has, who responds with a Psybeam. Not very effective yet again onto Tinkaton, who continuously being chipped away out here. A rest from Chestnut. It hasn't lost much health, but it is going to get itself back to full strength. It puts itself to sleep in the process, so that is a risky move there by Chestnut. You have to think Tinkaton's the one that needs that rest. Ice Punch, though, Tinkaton's still holding on after yet another not very effective move. And here it is in its confused state. And it does damage to itself, and it's Tinkaton who takes itself out of this matchup in its confusion. This is not the start the Olivine Carbons need. They are already down 3 Pokemon against 5 on the Saffron Power Links. Gallade planting its roots, looking to restore some health in between turns, as Chestnut is still fast asleep on the field here. There's Gallade getting that health restored. Saffron City here only having lost 1 Pokemon so far, and it is Forretress coming out for the Olivine Carbons, who is hurt by the spikes. It's normally Forretress you'd see setting those up. That stored power not very effective there on Chestnut from Iron Valiant, but a Thunderbolt now from Gallade gets a great hit on the Forretress and leaves it paralyzed. This is going to slow Forretress down. It was never going to move quicker than the fighting types, but it may not be able to move at all thanks to that paralysis. Chestnut unable to move. Forretress is unable to move as well. This is a wasted turn for the Olivine Carbons. This is not what they need. They are down with 2 less Pokemon than the Power Links, as the Leaf Blade now onto Chestnut. Yet again, not very effective, and Gallade is going to follow up with a Kowtow Cleave of its own, and that is a great hit there onto Chestnut, who's finally woken up, and it is going to go for the Steel Wing here. And its target is Gallade, and it is a great hit there. Forretress could actually finish it off with the 1-2 hit. Goes for the Ice Shot, and Gallade is taken out of this matchup. That is some fantastic teamwork from the Olivine Carbons, as Serena comes out as the Terra Pokemon for the Saffron Power Links. Going to immediately Terrasilize into the fighting type here with those powerful kicking legs. No wonder it was drafted to this side. See what Serena can do in this matchup. But first, Iron Valiant with the Feather Dance here onto Forretress is going to lower Forretress' attack stat. And now Serena going with the Healing Wish. It's going to take itself out of this matchup on its first turn, making a risky sacrificial play here. See if it pays off for the Saffron Power Links. I am not so sure it will, but it is now a 3 versus 3 battle. The Olivine Carbons are back in this, as the Tickle from Chestnut is going to lower that attack and defense of Iron Valiant, lowering both those physical stats. Now Forretress with the Dragon Claw will not affect the part Fairy type that is Iron Valiant, and it is Annihilate, the Ghost fighting type, coming out for the Saffron Power Links, as the Sludge Wave from Iron Valiant won't affect the Steel type Pokemon, but it will do damage to its own teammate. It does not want Annihilate to be poisoned. Thankfully it wasn't. Who goes for the Corrosive Gas. It is going to burn up the Leopard Berries of the Steel types. Iron Valiant does not have its Leopard Berry anymore, losing that on the first turn, I believe it was, as Chestnut now going for the Torch Song, the signature move of Skeledirge here, and it does boost Chestnut's special attack. And now Forretress going for the Flower Trick. This is the signature move of Meowscarada, and that will finish off Iron Valiant, taken out of this matchup. And now Quaquaval coming out as the last Pokemon for the Saffron Power Links. There's the Hurricane from Annihilate onto Forretress. Forretress is eliminated with that critical hit. That was a crucial elimination for the fighting types. And Quaquaval, that was a tricky name to say, follows it up with the Iron Head. Not very effective there onto Chestnut, who responds with the Aqua Jet onto Annihilate. And out comes Iron Treads as the last Pokemon for the Olivine Carbons, landing in those spikes, and immediately goes for the Bone Rush, this multi-hit move onto Annihilate. It's got 2, it's got 3. If it could get all 5, I think it will get this elimination. It's got 4, it needs 1 more, but it only gets 4 hits. Chestnut could finish it off though, but first Annihilate with the Boom Burst, doing damage here, not very effective on either Steel type Pokemon, as the Worry Seed from Quaquaval does fail, and now Chestnut going with the Fake Tears, not continuing that offensive pressure. It is going to lower the special defense a great deal of Annihilate, as Iron Treads is going to follow it up with the Wood Hammer, and Annihilate is eliminated from this matchup. There is 1 Pokemon left for the fighting types, and that is Quaquaval. Iron Treads has the recoil damage, and here it goes for the Trop Kick onto Iron Treads, trying to capitalize on that Park Round type, and lowers the attack stat here as Chestnut with the Thunder will be super effective on the Water type, but Quaquaval avoids that attack, and a self-destruct from Iron Treads takes itself out of this matchup. Chestnut holds on from that not very effective move, as does Quaquavel. And now Quaquavel, that sounds about right, doesn't it? Goes with the Shadow Punch, and the victory goes to the Saffron Power Links because Chestnut is eliminated. It loses its terrestrial form and it is taken out of this matchup. The fighting types have come here with the typing advantage and they get the all-important victory in their very first matchup of the season. They will be in equal first place with the Motor Stoke Engines, as our next matchup will be the Golden Road Aces hosting the Holland Heroes. I cannot wait to see that side take play for the first time in the PokeType League. But until then, Nidorinas and Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe. But more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I will see you when you see me.